Hello everyone and welcome to an incredible game from round 5 of this year's US Chess Championship, and in my opinion it is the absolute best game played so far, as you might get such an idea from the title of this video. It's Robson versus Jeffery Xiong, and the game features a lot of history, a lot of theory, and a lot of new ideas, which I'm sure you guys will enjoy. So don't want to spoil too much, let's check it out. Ray has the white pieces and he opens with e4, and both of them have had not the best tournament so far. They've only had a couple of draws and lost. I think Robson lost 2 games prior to this, and Jeffery Xiong, he had like 3 draws and 1 loss, so both of them would very much enjoy winning a game. So here we have pawn to e5, knight to f3, and knight to f6. Jeffery goes for the Petrov's defense, and you could counter this many ways. Knight captures on e5 is the main line. You could also play something like bishop to c4, as they would maybe 150 years ago in the era of Morphy and Anderson. You would sacrifice a pawn, double your own pawns, and now enjoy a very nice open game, which is, one way to do it. Maybe not great for today's classical, but in Blitz and Bullet you can very much play this. However, we have d4, also one of the main lines. The idea being that if e captures on d4, you can advance the pawn to e5, but here we have knight captures on e4, bishop to d3, the Steinitz attack against the Petrov, and now pawn to d5. We have knight captures on e5, knight to d7, and now castle. So this, again, main line, nothing new here. Captures, and bishop, and knight to c5, attacking the bishop on d3. Where white usually goes knight to c3, or you move the bishop if you don't want to give up the bishop pair. But Ray says, nope, bishop to e3. He says you can have the bishop pair, and of course, we know that this is an open game, so black definitely wants to eliminate one of white's bishops. So first he plays bishop to e7, although you could capture on d3 right away. We have pawn to f4, and now knight captures on d3. And okay, queen captures, and now as, okay, queen and rook are preparing that pawn to f5 push, you stop at pawn to g6. Nothing spectacular here. Knight to c3. White says, all right, you wasted a move on g6. I'm now preventing you from castling by attacking your d5 pawn. So Jeffery now has to defend this. He plays pawn to c6. And now, while you could continue bringing more pieces into the game, first a remaneuvering of the knight happens. Knight to e2. Now you want to go knight to d4 or knight to g3 to help out with the advancement of the f-pawn. Probably knight to g3, as on d4 the knight can be challenged with c5. So here we have castles, and now knight to g3, and this is a really awesome move because the position has been reached before in a very famous game between Judith Polgar and Boris Gelfand. Now you know that Judith Polgar is one of the greatest attackers who ever played chess. She's basically a Mikhail Tal reborn. And, if there's an attack in the position, she will find it, she will play it, and you will fight for your life to survive that attack. And she played pawn to f5 without preparing it in this position. But Gelfand, the genius that he is, he was able to, just defend this very nicely. The idea was that after bishop captures, she sacrificed the rook. G captures, she played bishop to h6, now threatening checkmate. Boris defended with king to h8, gave back the material. Bishop captures, and now rook to f1. And now, again, it looks like a very nice position. She opened up his king, you have the rook, the knight is coming to f5, it will be very dangerous. But he just played queen to b6 check, and he captured a pawn. Queen captures on b2, that's how cool Boris Gelfand is. And now she should play rook captures on f5 to objectively claim a draw, but she went for knight to d4. She wanted to activate her pieces very quickly, and then after rook to e8, she went to knight to f3 to defend the pawn here, and he just played queen b5. Offered a queen trade. She had to move the queen back in order to defend the rook, because a queen trade will not be favorable for her. She's down material here. So after queen to d1, he's up a pawn, he defended well, and in the end even won the game. So f5 is a bit premature, so that's why Ray prepares it. We have knight to g3, and now Jeffery plays bishop to h4. He's just fighting against pawn to f5, because now if you play pawn to f5, he will just capture on g3, and after h captures, he will play bishop captures on f5, and after rook captures, g captures, and queen captures, white just doesn't have enough attackers to finish this attack. Or you don't even have to capture on f5 right away. You could even bring an attacker into the game. Let's say queen to e7 and rook captures on f5, but now f6. And everything is perfectly fine. Look at this, bishop to h6. You will play f captures on e5, offer the material back in order to go into this queen and pawn endgame, with black having a massive center here. And even if rook to g5 check, king to h8, and queen to e3, going after the pawn here, you can play this beautiful rook f6 move and even sacrifice your queen. So captures, captures, and captures, and after queen captures, you will bring the rook into the game. Two rooks will be stronger than a queen here, but it's an open board, so the black king will not be able to escape checks. So this will be a draw pretty much fairly quickly. So here, Ray prepared it with bishop to c5. It comes with tempo as the rook on f8 is hanging, and now rook to e8. And again, not a new position. It has been reached in 2016 in Women's Grand Prix. Alexandra Kostyniuk had it against Ju Wenjun. Kostyniuk played rook a to e1, and she ended up winning that game. But here, look at this. What Ray plays? He plays pawn to f5. Absolutely incredible. Now, why is this different than the Judith Polgar game and the previous move that we discussed, where it simply doesn't work? Because it also doesn't work here. That's the reason. But it does unless black finds an engine perfect defense, which, well, if you've ever played chess, you know it's not that easy to spot. And of course, it is now as of move 15 that we have a completely new game. So what's the idea? Now the idea is that if you throw in a nice Zwischenzug, bishop captures on g3, notice that the bishop is no longer blocking the queen on e3. So the queen can capture, and now you cannot play bishop captures because rook captures and the g-pawn is pinned. And also the e5 pawn is defended. You cannot capture that. Everything is defended. White has an e5 and f5 pawns already advanced. You will solidify with bishop to d6. Even if you want, you don't really have to. And this is objectively winning for white. So that's the idea behind pawn to f5. But of course, Jeffery figures it out. He plays rook captures on e5 right away. F captures on g6, h captures on g6, and now bishop to d4, attacking the rook, just claiming this diagonal for the dark square bishop. Rook to e8, rook to e6, a bit more precise, but rook to e8 is still fine if black defends well. And now look at this, rook captures on f7. We can even do it in slow motion because it's such a powerful move. King captures, and now rook to f1 with check. So in all the other lines and in the game Judith Polgar versus Boris Gelfand that we discussed, it was merely an exchange sacrifice, rook for the light square bishop. But here, it's a sacrifice of a full rook. King to e7 and queen captures on g6. And this is the position that Jeffery had to solve. Unfortunately, this is where he felt to white's attack, to Ray's attack. There is only one move that saves black here. So feel free to pause the video and try to find this incredible engine precise defense while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on just being the greatest defender who ever was and ever will be. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, the only move that saves the game is king to d7. Yes, that's of course the move. If you play bishop captures on g3, you try to remove one of the attackers, you just get checkmated, mate in one. The reason why king to d7 is strong is that, look at this, rook to f7 check, rook to e7 blocks, and now you will play queen to f5 check. And after king to c7, you will play queen to f4 check. And now you either repeat, or after king to d7, you have to play something else if you don't want the repetition. Okay, you will play bishop c5, put pressure on the rook, rook captures on f7, queen captures, and now bishop goes back to e7. You will play knight to f5 with a nice triple attack on the bishop from the knight, queen, and bishop, but now queen to f8. Black is happy to give back some material, of course, to survive. Queen to h7, and now even king to e6. The king now attacks the knight, and now you have to do something. If you move the knight, you're just going to lose the bishop with check. So you have to trade here, unfortunately. Or you could even go for knight to g7 check, where black would sacrifice the queen, and after queen captures, bishop captures on c5 with check. King h1, you're going to play bishop to d7. Your bishops are defended. The rook is coming into the game, and white will have to, a perpetual will have to suffice. Queen h6 check, king e5, queen to g5 check, and so on. So that's the only defense that you have here after queen captures on g6. But if you don't calculate this, you might play something like bishop to e6 to stop rook to f7, which is what Jeffery did, but now his position is lost. queen to g7 check, king to d6, and now bishop to e5 with check. King to c5, bishop to d4 check, repeating one more time. He wants to check if the king maybe goes to b5 or maybe somewhere, and then some queen captures on b7 action, or he goes something like king to c4, and then you can start attacking the king with the pawns. But he doesn't. He goes back. So here, Ray repeats, bishop e5 check, king to c5, and now bishop to c7. And now we reach the crucial moment of the game. The black queen is hanging. How can you defend? If you move the queen, queen to d7, doesn't work. Just queen to c3 check. That's the whole idea behind moving the bishop. Queen to c3 check. King to b5, now comes a4 with check. King captures on a4, or you move the king, doesn't really matter, and queen to a5 will be checkmate. So after bishop to c7, bishop to f6 was played, countering the white queen, and now if you capture the black queen, black will capture the white queen. So here, rook captures on f6. There's even a nicer way to end this, and that's pawn to b4 check. I'm just gonna show this because pawn to b4 is so crucial in all of the lines here, and even this one, because after king to b5, you have this queen to h7 move, just sidestepping the attack, and the black queen is still hanging. And now you either resign because you're going to lose the queen, or if you try to keep the queen, you offer a queen trade, then just queen to d3 check, king to a4, queen to b3 check, king to b5, a4 check, king to a6, and now b5. You have to trade, and pawn captures on b5 will be checkmate. So that's the reason why b4 here is very potent, but rook captures on f6 is the other winning move. But rook captures on f6, it could be even more complicated. If Ray didn't calculate this out, he would definitely find the b4 line, because now rook to g8 was played, and now he only has one move to win the game. So that's what he had to find. Feel free to pause the video and win the game for Ray while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on finding the coolest way possible of how to bring your queen back into the attack. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is knight to e4 with check. This is what he played, and I'm sure once Jeffrey saw this, he was, all right, I see what's happening now. The problem is, if you capture the knight, then comes rook to f5 with check. That's the idea behind the knight sacrifice. You have to free up the 5th rank for the rook to deliver check. Rook to f5 with check, you sacrifice the rook as well, and now the queen can finally enter the attack. Bishop captures on f5, and now queen to c3 with check. King to d5, queen to e5 with check, king to c4, and now you go after the king. Pawn to b4 check, king to b4, and now queen to a5 will be checkmate. So unfortunately for Jeffrey, you cannot touch the knight. He played king to b5, but now comes pawn to a4 with check. And how do you deal with this? If you capture on a4, then comes knight to c3 check, king to b4, rook to f4 with check, and now there are two ways of playing this. If you play king to c5, of course, pawn to b4 is checkmate, as you might, get an idea from the title. And if you block with pawn to d4, you don't even have to take with the rook. You can play queen to e5. And now the black queen is still hanging. There's really not much you can do. You can move the queen, and now bishop to a5 with check, king to c4, and now pawn to b3 will be checkmate. So after a4, you cannot capture. King to b4 was played. If you play king to c4, also not the best, then comes rook to f4. You can even sacrifice the queen here. And after rook captures on g7, you will play knight to d2 check, king to c5, and another pawn to b4 checkmate. So b4, so crucial in all of the lines, even though he didn't play it right away. So king to b4, only other way to continue playing this, but now comes queen to h6, and he was in this position on move 29 that Jeffery Xiong resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. The problem is there's just no move you can make here. Your queen here is hanging. If you move the queen, it's a simple matter of queen to d2 with check, king to c4, or king captures on a4, doesn't really matter. And now pawn to b3 will be checkmate, or king goes to king goes here, and now queen to a5 will be checkmate. So that will not do. The only thing you can do is to maybe give up the queen. Let's say you play something like d captures knight here, but then you capture the queen, and after rook captures, okay, you have some material for the queen, but not nearly enough. Rook captures on e6, and that's it. If the rook was maybe on f6, you'd have a nice checkmate on d1, but it's not. So you will give a nice check, and after king to f2, and nothing more to be done. You can double up here. You can even capture on e4. Doesn't matter. If you start checking, the rook can block. Pointless to continue. So after queen to h6, Jeffery Xiong resigned the game, and I thought it'd be weird, you know, naming this video the Immortal B4 game, because B4 was never really played. The pawn is still on B2, but you've seen how in all of the lines, I mean, everyone knows that the best and coolest lines in chess never actually get played. You have to see them in your mind. I thought it would be appropriate. You know, maybe it's not, but I thought it would be. That's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you again for recommending such a beautiful game. Like I said, round 5 US Chess Championship, in my opinion, the game to watch, the best game that has been played so far. Hope you guys agree. I would like to thank Roger Stone, no need to mention me in the video, Douglas Hooper, Mirza Streepete, and Nathan Gibson for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.